Hey guys, this is the second part of our series, and today we're going to make a shirt. I want to emphasize that this time there will not be an overwhelming amount of new information unlike the previous part, so you can relax a bit and think about something beautiful. I will note some of the most important parts, something worth mentioning. For example, here I have renamed my materials, so the names could be more descriptive. This time I will not use references, I'll show you how to create the shirt without it. But of course, if you are inexperienced, it is strongly recommended to use reference patterns. Do not try to reinvent the bicycle. And yes, I'm gonna sound a bit dramatic, so forgive me, but before you break the rules of the game, you have to learn the rules, you have to play by the rules. And after some time, after you got some experience, you can try to bend the rules to your liking. It's like being Neo from the Matrix. You had to study the rules before you realize that you can break them. And it is true for everything that you're trying to learn. If we talk about the process itself, here I do the same things as with the jeans. We're using the same tools, the same methods, nothing new so far. I would say that the creation of clothes in Marvels depends on the following stages, at least in my personal opinion. The first stage is creating the pattern either by yourself or with the references. It is better to read something related to this topic to understand why some lines are straight and why other are curvy. How to make clothes look good on the character, how to measure chest width, and stuff like that. It's not necessary to do because in books you'll find a lot of technical details while we need only visual ones. But in general, it is quite good to familiarize yourself with this area. I believe that even without the books, you can create something visually cool looking. The second stage, sewing and the search of the basic form, try to match the patterns to the shape of your character, change size, shape, length of the patterns. But do not focus on this stage too hard because this is just the stage of roughing the model in, creating the base for your work. You are just looking for something that suits you or your character, trying to find something that is cool. The third stage it is setting up the parameters and finalizing the form. It is the matter of experiments and constant iterations. You have to play with such parameters as shrinkage, weft and warp, pressure, physical properties, particle distance, thickness rendering, and so on. And do not forget about the faults, because there are actually 5 types of faults in general, and they strongly dictate the visual appeal of the model. They make you believe that this material is in fact cotton, or maybe this one is silk, and so forth. So if you study the difference between different types of faults, it will help you a lot. Additionally, in my opinion, Marvels doesn't always give you the right amount of faults, so you have to help him to make your character more realistic and alive. But you have to do it only after you have established the material and thickness of your clothes. If you did everything correctly, your material will be perceived properly and it will be much more interesting to look at. And the final, fourth stage, adding details and processing of the final result. We're adding pockets, buttons, zippers, stitches, maybe some prints, changing diffuse color, specular color. And again, we do not forget about the folds. And finally, after all of that, I'd like to mention that for people who are not very good at anatomy and drapery, like me, for example, we're still able to feel the difference between correct and incorrect. Even if there is only the slightest mistakes, we'll still feel that something is actually off. We may not fully understand what is off, but we still feel that something actually doesn't look right. And why it happens? It happens because every day we see people around us. We see a lot of differences in faces. We see that someone has big ears, someone has a snub nose, someone has really chubby fingers, someone has really thin fingers. So we feel what is correct and what is wrong. And it is the same with clothes and faults in particular. And in this regard, it is my personal opinion, but I still think it is quite true. Let's go back to our shirt and take a look at what is happening with it right now. As you can see, we can complete the task with different methods. For example, this strap for the shoulders I've created with the separate pattern, but the strap under the shirt I've made by creating the inner seam and then cut off the strap and sew it together again. In other words, to put it simply, you have the variety of methods. It isn't the big variety, but variety nonetheless. Now let's add a print to our shirt. Clicking this button and choosing the print that you like. Then clicking on the pattern where we want to add the print. Marvels will offer you to set the width and the height. In our case, the precision isn't that important, so we just want to make it fit on the shirt. We can either leave it as is, or maybe create a lot of small skulls by using this guy here, Edit 2D Texture. It allows you to change the scale, rotation, and translation of the picture. Next, I want to make this picture darker, so I go here, and in the Distortion tab, I'll play with the shadow brightness and intensity. Always watch what is happening on the screen, make sure it works. Right now, I'm just improvising, trying to find something that works, so don't be scared by the excessive amount of actions. Finally, let's make the color of the print the same as the color of the shirt. Our life would be much easier if our print had alpha in it or simply had a transparent background, but that's what we have, so that's what we have to work with. After that, I'm adding some finer details. I've made shoulder straps less stretchy, increased the particle distance. Don't forget, the lower the number, the more polygons you have, the slower the performance, but the better the quality. And that's it, turning on our pants, tweaking color if necessary. We'll deal with faults later, when we pose our guy. And I'll see you in the next video, where we're going to make a jacket.